Hey, hello everyone. French Vinyl Addict is back. It's back to Canada after 3 weeks of vacation. It's very improvised. It's very spontaneous. I was planning on doing something when I was in France. Well, I did visit several countries: Germany, Spain, and France, obviously. And I just got back. And as it happens, I was checking my YouTube account, and I hit the 600 subs mark, which is great, which is always a cool milestone. Gaining each subs is not an easy thing. So thank you very much. Hey, hi. So yeah, we'll be putting the link in the chat. So if anyone wants to join, this is very spontaneous, as I said. I brought my the records I purchased in Europe. So as I said, I did visit several countries. I was in Germany. I met up with some guys, some YouTuber, some video maker from the German vinyl community, and I met up with one guy who subs to my channel in Karlsruhe in the Black Forest, Heineck. So yeah, we'll be putting a link if anyone wants to join. This is opening discussions. Yeah, I'm celebrating the 600 subs. I started the channel about 1 year ago, and it's been pretty cool. I moved from France to Canada, as you know. So I continue to enhance my collection, having this YouTube channel. I recently started a second channel with my buddy Stun Rock Confusion. We now have weekly live stream in French. We have now a channel in French for those who speaks French, and but yeah, I'm still active in this channel. So yeah, pretty interesting vacation. um I grew up very close to the border with Germany and Switzerland, and this is where I spent the most of my European vacation. So Freiburg was the first stop in the Black Forest, and yeah, I found some great stuff. Krautrock, the Brain label. Maybe you guys are familiar. Brain. They had many bands like Jane, Grobschnitt, and Novalis, just to name a few. And yeah, I didn't. I'm still on the lookout for some of these artists of those bands, and German press. It's always cool to find some original pressing. So yeah, it's pretty interesting. And in Karlsruhe as well, not as big city as big as Berlin or Munich, but they had this a small record show, and yeah, they had a lot of hip hop, crowd rock, and this is where I met up with Timo. Timo is a German guy. He has a channel called Vinyl and, if you translate, and very active. He's the one who are hosting the German Vinyl Tag 2024. And so we had a beer. We share a drink together. We discuss about vinyl community, the French, the international, the German, obviously, and was pretty cool to connect with Timo and one guy who did sub to my channel. And yeah, we were also in Spain, and it's interesting. Spain is interesting. They It's a city, a lot of German tourists, a lot of British people. I think they probably a lot of people live now, so a lot of British people moved UK. I think they lived they now live in Spain, and so it's very interesting. I only visited one store, and they had a lot of German pressing, UK pressing as well. Small city small middle-sized city of Malaga in the southern part of Spain, very close to Gibraltar, which is which is still a part of the UK, in front of Morocco. And yeah, I was looking for some bands I don't have a chance to find over here. I was expecting a bit more, Prague Spanish, or maybe a bit more of South American records like Argentina. Jose has a great channel as well, and he lately hosted a live stream. He played a lot of this obscure Argentinian Mexican band, and yeah, I was expecting a bit more of this hidden treasure from the 70s, from the 80s, not only from Spain but from the Spanish speaking part of the world, so to say. So Peru, Argentina, but didn't have a chance. But you know, France also a cool country. France, this is a place I grew up there, um, northeastern part. I first came to Nice in the south, and yeah, was cool to spend 2 days in the French Riviera. And yeah, I met up with one guy. He has a record store. He used to be a bass player in a local band back in the days, and he introduced me with a local post rock um, band called First Came the Shadow. Never heard of. He played a CD like 5 minutes, and yeah, I was surprised. It was very cool. So I came back a little bit later. He said, "Hey, you have to come back if you want the vinyl records. Some guy will bring some copies in the store." So yeah, so this is a. I will put a link. So if anyone wants to join, um, as I said, it's completely spontaneous, and maybe it will last 30 minutes. Maybe it will last 4 hours, depending how many people will be there, how many subjects we can cover. But yeah, very very interesting. And I was pretty happy since I was looking for. Don't know if you're familiar. This band. This is a French prog, and I don't have a lot of French progressive music in my collection, so to say. I have a lot of classic Genesis, yes, ELP, Italian as well, and I don't have a lot of French, and it's very interesting since I bought that book during my trip, and it's really interesting. It's the castle, Hérouville. That's the name of the place, located 1 hour northeastern or northwestern of Paris, and this is where a lot of incredible record albums were recorded back in the days. David Bowie went there, Iggy Pop, a lot of internet. Elton John. This is where Elton John recorded Honky Chateau. Just to name a few. Magma, the French band Magma, and yeah, I was like, as a French guy, I'd say it's might be weird to say that, but I was deep in French culture 3 weeks. So I thought, okay, now you are in France, you have to maybe find some local treasure. So I will write a comment. Mr. Nick, hi, Mr. Nick is there. Hey, good to see you, Nick. Good to see you. I'm glad that you are tuning into my channel. I usually see Nick when he does his stream with George on Sunday. George Borden. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Yeah, yeah. Okay. Yeah, yeah. As I said, it's completely spontaneous and nothing planned really. So it's like an open discussion. I'm planning on showing some records I could find during my trip in France, and I would say in Europe. So yeah, no problem. But yeah, it's always interesting. Um, like this store in Nice, now they sell obviously on Discogs, and the owner, the manager, he said that a lot of customer are American or British, which is funny. Uh, they Hey, hi sir. So feel free to join. I just put a link in the chat. Oh, we have a guest. Hi sir. Hey.
Greetings,
Greet.
greetings. Bonjour, bonjour.
Bonjour, bonjour, Mike. Good.
Nice and Nice.
Nice. Is that
Nice.
is that a band from Nice? Oh, sorry.
It's a Stranglers 12-inch single.
Okay. The slang. Oh yeah, yeah. You know that story about Stranglers? They have
It's in plastic. Sorry, Roma.
no problem. One of their
Yeah, this
member,
back here.
yeah, one of their member is actually a French guy, the bass player.
Okay.
Yeah, this is Jean-Jacques Burnel. He was actually born in the UK, but his parents moved from France,
So
and
this
yeah,
was recorded. The B side looks to be recorded at La Zenith. Can you see that in Paris, April 1985?
yeah, the famous venue, yeah, Le Zénith, yeah, yeah.
Okay. My pronunciation's terrible. I
No,
took lots of French in school growing up in Canada, but my
hmm
accent is not what it was.
no, you did great. You did great. No problem. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. So, and Uriah Heep, some Prague, right? So, I don't know if you're following Steve, All the World's a Stage. They saw Uriah Heep last night, him and a couple of vinyl community people in Cincinnati.
To be honest, I was traveling and I was a lot of meeting great friends, sister. So the last 4 days was a little bit busy.
Oh, yeah, I guess you're catching up on all things. Yeah.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Steve, they went to see Uriah Heep and Saxon in Cincinnati.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, Haraya Heap. Yeah, I really love the first album. It's funny you say prog. It's funny you classify them or you rank them in a prog genre or in a prog box. Um, wouldn't say their entire discographic can be related to prog. Some of their albums, surely, like Salisbury, the side two. I love that band, but I prefer the first era with Dave Byron, the singer, and they had this amazing bass player, and you know that story. He had an accident. He was playing on stage, and he had an electric shock. And the producer say, you guys, you have to go on, you have to go on. So he was practically fired because he couldn't play as well. So
I did not. I'm a kind of on the sidelines Uriah Heep fan. Like I have Magician's Birthday. I can't think of the album before it. But as far as eras go, no, I don't. I can't. I'm certainly not that granular about the band. Apparently, Mick Box is the only surviving member,
yeah,
and that's who's performing. But yeah, I mean, it's just not my main jam, as the saying goes. But I do like Uriah Heep, like the hits, I guess.
yeah, yeah. And we have Michael here. Hi there, Michael. Torsten, another guy from Germany. So as I said, feel free to join. Just put a link. This is an open bar, not open bar. This is a open. No, it's not an open bar. I spend all my money in Europe. I don't have any money
So
left.
how was your trip, man?
Oh, very cool. Very
Yeah,
cool. Yeah,
very, very
we,
good.
I went out for 3 weeks. So as I said, France, Germany, Spain. Yeah,
So the
spend.
beaches in Spain, any beaches? Where were you
Yeah,
in Spain?
Malaga. It was very quick. It was very easy. Europe is very tiny, and I had a chance to find last minute some tickets to fly from the place where I stayed, and very close to Switzerland, to Malaga, which is southern part of Spain.
Okay.
And yeah, at the beaches, very very cool. Small,
Great.
not a big city, not as big as Madrid or Barcelona, but still. Yeah, interesting.
Very good. Very good.
Yeah, Germany. I really like Germany. I grew up very close to Germany. I speak German myself, so I visited two cities, Freiburg and Breisgau. This is in the Black Forest, and Karlsruhe, and I could find some really cool stuff. As I said,
Oh, let's see. Let's see.
yeah, Jane, for instance, this is yeah. I'm not really familiar with that band. We were discussing, I think, with Steve from All the Woods the Stage. This is yeah that label Brain.
Yeah,
As I said, they had many bands like Grobschnitt and Novalis, and recently another
like
French.
krautrock bands,
Yeah,
or
krautrock. Yeah, you can definitely call that krautrock. This is um, early mid 70s. I think that they had one singer from UK. The band are in German. They are from Hanover, label based in Hamburg. And yeah, they dropped a couple of records in the yeah, first came in 72
sure, sure.
up
I was
until
just
yeah.
speaking about krautrock. I'm looking for something here to show. It's
Yeah.
quite interesting that I've never seen in the vinyl community. I'm just looking for it. Keep talking, FBI.
Yeah, no. And yeah, it's interesting. The one French guy, he sold part of his collection, and I took advantage of that because the price was so good, and he had like Novalis in the batch. So I was reading a book last summer about progressive music, and I kind of learned more about that Brain label. This is where I discovered Jane Grobschnitt and all that stuff. And it was on my list, Jane. So I would say, now you're in Germany, you have to go a little bit deep into local stuff. And I found those records. So, and I found another. I think that's the first album in a French store, pristine copy.
Okay, Dane.
This is the first one released in 1972, and it out of beat of one of the first releases since the label. I'm not really familiar with the label. The classic label is yellow, I think, with some form, and
Sure.
this had to be the one of the first.
Oh, I've never, until joining this discussion tonight, I've never heard of the Brain label. And
Okay, yeah,
speaking of like a krautrock, I watched the documentary probably 3 months ago on Connie Plank, and that was really good. I can't remember where I streamed that, but it's pretty essential viewing for anybody that likes that genre. And he did other stuff too that was more commercial, but yeah, really good documentary. I take it you've seen it by your thumbs up.
yeah. And another classic band, Tangerine Dream. So
Oh yes,
yeah,
yeah,
I was pretty happy, and I paid like 18 euros, which is probably $19 US dollar. So it's really cool, and German pressing and stuff. So yeah, I was pretty
which
happy.
what's the name? What's the title of that album?
Rubicon,
Okay, all right.
Rubicon. Yeah, they have us. Yeah, they. It's like they drop so many albums. I would say Zeit, which is time in when you translate in English, it's worthwhile. And the other one, Phaedra. Phaedra is
Yeah,
like is a
Fader.
blue
Fader was the one I was
Phaedra.
thinking. Fader
Yeah,
was what I was thinking of. Yes.
that's the one. Yeah.
So I don't know if you're familiar. There was a film, mid '80s, American movie called Risky Business with Tom Cruise,
Yeah, I
and
know that one. Yeah.
yeah, so that was my era. I was in high school at the time. I bought an import soundtrack, and on the B side was all the instrumental Tangerine Dream stuff, which was really really good. And that was my first introduction to Tangerine Dream, oddly, on an American movie soundtrack. But it was a German import, so
Okay.
all the printing on the record is in German. I don't have it here in front of me, but
Yeah.
yeah, that was my first intro to them.
Yeah. Risky Business. They also participate into other movies. Complete soundtrack One is called Sorcerer, and don't remember the other name. But this is what you
Sorcerer.
Sorcerer. Yeah,
Okay, I'll
it's
look
called
that up. I'm
original movie
thinking,
soundtrack by Tangerine Dream, and another movie. I just don't remember the name right now.
yeah.
I've seen so many times, but flicking through the bins. But yeah,
So FEA, I'm gonna sign off shortly here. I have to get
yeah,
back with Patty. I just wanted to jump on and say hi to you.
yeah. Very
This
cool.
is some pretty cool krautrock. Holger Zuke. Trying to hold this here. You can see this better. There we go.
Is that Czech or Polish or something or
Oh,
Hungarian,
he's German.
German? Okay. Oh
So
yeah.
Holger Zuke was part of Khan.
Oh, der Osten ist rot means
Yeah,
the east is red.
the
Yeah.
East is red. Yeah, he was part of Khan. Um, that band. Well,
Yeah.
Can Khan. Um, yeah. So anyway, I have a hard time holding the records up on these live streams. They always seem to be reversed to me. But anyway, yeah, that's a really cool record. He Derosthenes Rot, which is the German national anthem. He does a weird interpretation of it. It's like a weird industrial sound. His solo stuff is way different than Can. Paper House, I think, was the big Can album that everybody's all over and fans of. But yeah, Holger Zuke.
Okay. I never heard of that. I'm not a very expert of crowd rock or a German experimental. I have Tagomago, of course. I have Can is
Yeah, so
for
Tag
sure.
Omega.
Tagomago.
This
Yeah. Yeah.
this this takes Tag Omega to another level. So look it up, Holger Zuke, Derosthenes Rot. I think you won't be disappointed. And that was recorded around 1983, so it was much later after Tagalago, that kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But Germany, they did a great stuff in electronic music.
Oh, really? Oh,
Early 80s. They had this Harald Grosskopf, for instance, or I recently bought a compilation called Deutsche Elektronische Musik, which means German electronic music, and it gives a little bit more of that late 70s, early 80s electronic music. Manuel Götzing, so many artists. Yeah.
yeah. So that Holger Zuke album, if I listen to early Ministry, the sampling and stuff, the kind of techniques he does, it's kind of like that. Or Tackhead was another band on Wax Tracks, I think was the label. I think out of Chicago. Al Jorgensen, friends of those guys. Al
Mhm.
Jorgensen from Ministry, that kind of weird sampling yeah, just give it a listen. I'd be curious to hear what you think.
Yeah, I will try to find sometimes, and I have a huge list. But yeah,
Yeah,
thanks for
I do know it's on YouTube, so you can find
yeah,
it.
yeah,
Just stream it. Anyway, I'm gonna sign off. Hope everybody has a great Saturday night.
yeah. Thanks for stopping by. I really appreciate it.
All right,
Take care. Have a great
au
evening.
revoir.
Yeah, thank you. Bye. Au revoir. Bye bye. So yeah, but still, Germany. It's an amazing country. They had this big movie. So movie cinema industry after from 60s 70s, and with band like Kraftwerk, for instance, Stockhausen, and krautrock 80s. It's incredible. I literally grew up very very close with Germany. I speak German myself, as I said. Very close to the German speaking part of Switzerland as well. So in a way, I grew up with that culture. It was very funny. We had when I was kid, we were in France, but we had a German TV and a German program and the German radio stations, and it's still funny because last week I was driving. I had a car. We were in France, so my family, and I still have the habit to tune in to look for a German radio station because I know, oh, this is oldies, this is classic rock, and it's funny. It's funny because people are, you know, they were so close with Germany. Even they were French people. They knew, okay, the weather report will be more accurate if they Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's the one. Yeah, it's really cool. Hey, feel free to join, Thorsten. Wir können auch Deutsch sprechen, wenn du willst. Um, or maybe English. It's maybe better. Or Frederick, Spectrum Archives is pretty new in the vinyl community. You have to check out his channel. You are also pretty active in live streams. I see. But as I said, I was traveling during the past 3 weeks, so I have a lot of to catch up. Didn't have a lot of time to watch you guys on YouTube. I was enjoying my vacation. Yeah, and as I said, I was driving every day, everywhere to Germany, flying to Spain. So yeah, it was pretty pretty interesting. And yeah, I was reconnecting with I recently made a video homage to my favorite place back in the days when I was still living in France. This was a sorry, this is a store in the city of Guebwiller, so very close to Germany and France. And the guy um, is a really cool guy. So he's a lot of heavy metal, hard rock merchandise in the store. And I had this very special relationship with him back then. So I was visiting the store like maybe once or twice a month, and it was when always like I was stepping inside, he was like, "Hey, reading," and letting maybe 2 3 minutes to flipping through the late arrival bins, and then jumping up the stair and pulling out records and saying, "Hey, you should try this, you should try that." And he was never wrong. So thanks to his guidance, I could find some really cool stuff. Could never have imagined. I recently made a video about that very, very special relationship, and he's very active in a way he's the one who organized the record shows in the southern part of Alsace, the region I come from. So he's very active on the road every day. Every in the summertime, especially, we have the Hellfest in France. So he's there selling his records, his T-shirt, his merch, and pretty cool, good time. I think his son will be taking over soon, and he has another plan. And he had some of his private collection at the store exactly at the moment I went to see him last week, and I could find that. It's something you barely see that in good condition, and good price. Um, Budgie, those are OJ, uh, very good conditions. At the moment, I only have the "Never Turn Back on Your Friends" album in my collection from Budgie, and it's a band I cannot explain. I never had a chance to discover earlier when I was listening to classic rock or classic 70s hard rock, and I don't know. I completely missed Budgie, and yeah, it's fantastic. And I also had a very good deal, good price. It's pristine, so it's pretty hard to find these records to find in a good conditions and at the right price. So I'm really happy, and the band Budgie. So yeah, I could find some really cool stuff during my European trip. And just to give you an example, this is an album also I bought there. This is a compilation. Hey, hi Marcia, feel free to join if you get a chance. I will put a link in the chat. So if anyone wants to join, feel free. if the French accent doesn't annoy you. So yeah, this is Japan. Japan people. I have no idea, and but I know I will like. I will definitely know, since we have the sort of common ground together. He knows about my stuff. He still knows what I like, even though I left France 2 years ago. So just to give you names, it's very cool to have this. This was my favorite local store, and yeah, I could trust the guy. I could trust the owner. Very knowledgeable. Has been running that store for 20 years, and it's really cool when you are discovering, when you are making your way through a music, and because now we have the internet, we have the vinyl community, which is a great thing. But when you have a local store, and a guy who can guide you, who can help you through the jungle, it's really an asset, I would say, and I could take advantage of that. So no, it's, as I said, it's was very cool, cool vacations in France. And yeah, I'm not sure if if there is an English version of that book. I read that book on my way back home in a plane. Uh, Chateau d'Hérouville, when you see amazing T-Rex recorded, Magma, Marvin Gaye, Fleetwood Mac. It's incredible, that little castle in not a big castle in France. I know France has a lot of castles. This was a small castle, and some crazy guy in the 50s, crazy, some guy in the 50s has this crazy idea. Hey, we will build a studio inside. And yeah, Elton John, as I said. Okay, no problem, Marcia. So yeah, as I said, very spontaneous stream. Mr. John, wanna hop on? Just put a link in the chat if anyone wants to join me on the panel. Yeah, I have a couple of more records to show. Yeah, it's I almost need a second bag. Now I'm trying to go back to see my family and friends once a year. It's not that bad. We are in living in the East Coast in Canada, so it's not like a 15 hours journey to go back to see my family. But I definitely now need a bigger bag, bigger suitcase to carry all my vinyl records. And yeah, last year I took advantage. I went back last year to see my family in March, and we went with my wife. We took a small trip in the UK, and yeah, it was also very cool. I've been to the UK. I've been, I think, 5 or 6 times overall in England, in Britain. The first time in London, very straightforward. London City. It is an expensive city, London, when it comes to food, accommodation, hotel, everything, vinyl record as well. A lot of tourists, so you don't find specifically, you don't have a lower price, I would say. But when you trust yourself to drive to the wrong side, sorry guys, to the other side, and when you rent a car, and when you go a little bit deep in the countryside, then it can be really interesting. And yeah, I made a video recently, some hint, some address, so the stores, the journey I took to the UK. And yeah, when you go to Cornwall, for instance, or or to Canterbury, or in the South, Brighton, Southampton, yeah, it's it's another league. Then you are in the countryside. People are really friendly. You are not in the stress of London, and you can still find some really cool stuff. OJ UK Press, if you are focusing just like myself on the British band, or not focusing, of you if you I would say if you are on lookout for those albums released between 65 and 85, mainly British bands, and you are looking for OJ copies, uh, records was a label, proudly displays made in Great Britain, mention. So yeah, taking a trip to the UK, it's something. Yeah, it's okay. You don't go to the UK for one records, of course, uh, but if you plan on traveling, let's say 4 or 5 days, um, yeah, it could be interesting to do a little bit of roadmap to do the mapping to look. Or is there any record store in the area? And yeah, it's very enjoyable. Scotland as well, Edinburgh. It's the UK press, same as well. And but London is definitely a place. If you never, if you've, as a North American, if you've never been to Europe, to the UK, of course you have to go to London once in your life. But if you have the chance to come once again, yeah, visiting the other part of that beautiful country would be could be yeah, could be interesting as well. So if anyone wants to join, I will put a link once again. Hey, Marsha. Yeah, hi, John. Yeah, usually Marsha is a great channel as well. I usually watch on Steve from All Over the Stage. He has his usual Sunday evening vinyl confession, something with Trevor, Flat Run and Spound, and Marsha. Always interesting to see these guys talking about music. And I was a guest once. Great guy, Steve, very supportive. I would love to working also, giving you my support. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, as I said, it's no worries. It's a very spontaneous. There is nothing planned. As I said, I'm a little bit. I had this big surprise. Believe it or not, I was planning on doing a live stream last week when I was in France. We had some day off with nothing scheduled, but I haven't reached the 600 mark, 600 subs mark yet. So I was waiting, bring back, like, not celebrating something, and yeah, I went back today, and yeah, finally reached them. So hey, we have another guest. Hi, welcome, Anthony.
Greetings. How are you, sir?
Not too bad. How about you?
Good, good.
Good to
Congratulations on your 600.
Yeah, thank you, thank you.
Yeah, you probably remember me. I was on
Yeah,
Scott's stream there before, right? The Prague report, was that the Prague
Pro,
talk?
Pro Corner. Yeah,
Prague
yeah,
corner. That's it. Yeah,
yeah,
sorry. Yeah,
yeah.
I haven't been on there for a while, but yeah, I've seen you on there for a bit, so figured I'd jump on and say hello, see how things are.
Yeah, good. How about your project? You released that album, that record. How is it
Oh,
going?
it's going good. It went going really good. Give me 1 second. I just gotta change my headphones for 1 second. Okay.
Sure, sure. I will be reading the comment. There is a
Okay, there we
French
go.
psych album, RSD. I was interested in know the music. Okay, yeah. To be honest, I was a little bit away from RSD. I was hosting several streams. We were starting the channel with Stun Rock Confusion, and yeah, I was planning my trip, so I was a little bit. Oh, yeah. Uh, so can you can you remember the name of that one? Just asking to John. Yeah,
Yeah.
sorry, Mark. Yeah, how about that that project? Are you happy? How's it going with the numbers or the?
Oh, it's going really good actually. Because right now I'm still I got the CDs not long ago, so those have been sent out. So people have been receiving them and they've been happy with it. I'm just waiting on the vinyl version of the record. Of course, it takes a little bit longer to get done, right?
Mhm.
Because of the wait times because of the vinyl. But luckily here in Canada, that's where I'm in Ontario, just beside you. You're in Quebec, right? Right,
Montreal, yeah, Montreal
Montreal.
South
Yeah. So
Shore, yeah, yeah.
I'm just outside of Toronto in Brampton, and I
Mm.
I got there's a place nearby me just outside of Toronto that does vinyl pressing, and luckily now the numbers have gotten a lot better as far as waiting time. So now it's only like 3-4 months to wait for a vinyl, as opposed to last time I did a record, it took me 9 months almost to get a vinyl pressing done.
Yeah,
So
it's horrible. Jose often mentions that the cassette is often might be sounding weird when they have to send the bands to do the festival in a summer cassette. You can print or tape a
yeah,
cassette much more faster than a vinyl, which is really weird. Is that the record the plant press in Ontario? Is that the old Atco ATCO? Back in the days they had this quality in Ontario and
yeah,
it's
that that
cheap in
that
Calgary. Yeah,
yeah.
is
They
that?
had quality records back here for that was a
Hmm.
long time ago though. But yeah, but here there's a couple of pressing plants here, but I think some of those ones are pretty much out of commission now. I think, right? The ones that are here now are just mainly new upstarts that have started. So,
Hmm.
but they're doing good, right? So keep your fingers crossed because the one that I go to, it's called Train Records, and
Okay.
they've done a lot of stuff before was for bigger bands too. Like they've done stuff for like Rush and stuff like that. Like when Rush released Feedback, the main pressing plant that they were doing them at were so overrun with product that they had to get secondary plants to do them to catch up with the amount of orders, right? So luckily they were able to do it, and that helped them get on the map with other bands too. So it's going good for those guys, and they always do good stuff. I've never had a bad product with them, and it's good. So I'm happy.
Okay. Yeah. I was in Toronto prior my European vacations
Mhm.
about 4 weeks ago. I met up with Brian and Brian Robot. We share a coffee together,
Mhm.
and yeah, should be. I will try to come in June. Ben Rankings, fellow member from the VC, he lives in Australia,
Mm,
and he's coming to Toronto, to Vancouver, and to Toronto in June. So I will try to, yeah, to meet him once again.
nice.
Brian, yeah, 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 and didn't know you are in Toronto. I thought you from Seattle. I don't know why.
No,
Yeah,
no, no.
yeah.
I'm in Toronto. Yeah, just I've been here for my whole life. So yeah, but I used to go to Montreal quite a bit because when I was in another band a while back called Pile Driver. Or, I don't know if you remember that band. They were from the '80s. They were like a metal band. They had a guy who had like a mask with the spikes on his head
Yeah,
and stuff like that.
yeah.
And he reformed the band in the 2000s, and I was the guitar player then. And we toured a lot. We went to Quebec all the time, Montreal, Quebec City. We played a bunch of places, and then we toured Europe a bit too, and United States. So I love Montreal. I've
Yeah.
always loved going there and hanging out there and checking out stuff. I haven't had a chance yet to go vinyl shopping. I'm curious how it is vinyl shopping in Montreal compared to in Toronto.
I worked 2 weeks on the video on the editing part.
Mm.
It's probably the one I'm most proud of. It's
Oh,
invest so
okay.
much time. Yeah, on that one. Yeah, yeah. It's a guide. Okay, it's not only about Montreal. It's maybe a 7 store actually in Montreal, but I just wanted to do this video to people for tourist people. They are stopping by Montreal, and also for people who live there, just to
Yeah.
give you an idea. Okay, you're in Montreal, but Quebec City is not that far. Vermont is very close, so you have this variety of choice.
Hmm.
And of course, yeah, record store in Montreal. Yeah, Au 33 Tour is the biggest place, not as big as your Sonic Boom and Spadina, for instance. But
Mm.
yeah, no, it's culture is very important over here, as you know. You have this. It's not it's a French speaking part, okay, but on the western part of the island, you have a lot of English
Yeah.
meeting people. Yeah, Latin American influence, Asian, Eastern part of Europe, France from French.
Hmm.
So it's yeah, it's really cool. In a story, you have this great mixture of North American meets Europe in a way. French speaking singer. Yeah, no, it's really interesting. It's really
Yeah.
unique. Yeah, yeah.
So what would you say is the hardest kind of thing to find in Montreal? Like, can you find prog music easy there, or is that more difficult to find, or is hard rock more available there? Like, what do you think is the big stuff in Montreal area?
The big stuff, ambient, jazz.
Hmm.
Yeah, punk. I wouldn't say there is a store specialized in punk. Not really a punk guy.
Hmm.
Prague. I already have a lot of Prague albums.
Yeah.
It's funny you say Prague because in the 70s, prog rock was a big thing in Quebec.
Yeah.
A lot of Quebecer bands, they were singing in French, and yeah, it's much more easier to find. I would say to find prog and bands like the Strobes, for instance, they were huge in Canada.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, you find UK press in pristine conditions, ELP, Genesis, all that stuff, the usual suspects. So prog, yeah, it's much more common.
Nice.
Yeah, no, you don't. Wouldn't say there is a genre you hardly find copies of.
Because
Yeah.
what's interesting is whenever I was touring with the bands that I was in, it was always well known that Montreal was one of the main cities you wanted to go to play because the audiences in Montreal are always fantastic, like to go
Yeah.
play at, right? I mean, if you look at most tours, most bands will when they come to Canada, they play Toronto, Montreal. And then
Mm,
the rest of Canada they usually mainly ignore because I think because there's such a huge distance between cities. Like from Toronto to like Winnipeg, it's like a 20-hour car ride, to go there. It's
mm,
crazy how far the distances are between major cities in Canada, right? But Toronto and even Ottawa and Montreal are definitely the spots that people would want to go to for sure to go to see concerts. I mean, I like Marillion are one of the bands I really like, and they always say that they always do their Marillion weekends in Montreal because it's such a hot spot for them to play.
yeah. The only yeah, and Vancouver. How about Vancouver? Is that a uh,
I've always never found Vancouver to be a big like place for bands to go to. Not a lot of bands I've ever dealt with have said that, oh, I want to go cross Canada so I can go play Vancouver. Usually they want to stick around in the East Coast because not only can you play Montreal and Quebec City and that, but then it's not a far drive to go down towards New York and those other spots in the United States, right?
yeah, 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 yeah. The thing is it's very expensive when
Yeah.
I compare with my previous life in Europe. Got to see Peter Gabriel last year, and it's a little bit hard. I have to bring my wife came with me, so it's two tickets.
Hmm.
When she didn't work at the time, so it's a budget.
Yeah.
It used to be not that bad. I would say probably 10 or 15 years prior. Remember when we see Depeche Mode,
Hmm.
2009. I wouldn't say what half of the price, but you think twice.
Yeah.
Uh,
It's
and
very
Montreal is,
expensive.
yeah, it's very expensive. The Cure, I do wanted to see the Cure, but when I was checking the price or Bob Dylan, yeah, just forget it. Plus, in Montreal, you have a lot of small bars or festival in the summer, and the vibes. It's simply amazing. Okay, it's not Springsteen. It's a local band.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, with fusion of ska and Eastern folk, but it's great. It's part of the culture. Yeah, yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I remember there's a few bars that we used to go to, like Foo Funds and stuff like that. I think that place is still open, still. I'm guessing, right? But there was a few places there that was really great to go to, and they weren't really exactly really big places either, but they were always great people in their good audiences, respectful and stuff like that. It was really great. I've always loved Montreal for that.
Yeah, yeah. What is your feeling about? And I'm not asking that in the wrong way. The
Hmm.
difference between French, English, I'm asking that question. We have Frederick in the chat spectrum archives. He's a guy from Belgium. He's not
Hmm.
from the French speaking part of the Belgium. He's not from the other part. He speaks French. And I used to work in Switzerland, and Switzerland is a small country with several speaking language. And to me, it's an asset. It's an advantage. It's a culture. It's something. It's rich. A country that has more various speaking region. What is
Yeah.
your take on that?
Well, having multiple like cultures? You think is that what you're
Yeah,
asking?
yeah.
I think it definitely is an advantage because I think that once we like learn about each, I think when we learn about each other and our ways, we understand each other better as a people, right? I mean, so sometimes I understand one thing that I do understand is when I went to Montreal, a lot of the musicians I talked to there were very proud of being French and very proud of Montreal and Quebec as a province, right? I know
Yeah.
a lot of them talk about separate. A lot of them actually talked about separating from Canada back at that time when I was going through there, and they were always very much, wanted to go down that way. But I haven't heard that for a long time coming out of Quebec anymore about the separation part of it. So maybe I think that in Switzerland, when I went to Switzerland too, I always found that it was very, very good there. And the people were very nice. I never felt any sort of stress there or, people, pointing at me or nothing. Like, because for example, when I was touring in Italy, for example, there was a time that one of the musicians told me, when you come to Italy, make sure you wear a t-shirt that says that, Canada, or have a Canada flag on your shirt, because they said that a lot of people in Italy there weren't too happy with the United States people, right?
Mm,
So
hmm.
they were always saying that people viewed Canada as a very good people, that they liked them better than the U.S. people, which I thought was kind of sad that was like that. You always hope that people would be more, you know, kinder to everybody. You know what I mean?
Yeah, 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 yeah. I made also a very some experience when I was working in Switzerland. The French speaking part of Switzerland.
Hmm.
So people thought I was Swiss because in the place where I come from, in the northern part, we have an accent.
Okay.
And the guy was starting to be very rude about French politics, and so, and I say, okay, yeah, you're right, you're right. But it's like this, you can never please to anyone
Yeah.
in this world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, somebody once told me, and I read in a book too once, where they're saying that unless you travel a lot, you never know what the world really is like, right?
Hmm.
If you're
Hmm.
just at home all the time, you don't know what it's like if you're just watching TV, and you'll never know what the world is really like. So I think if more people did that, if more people, traveled out of their country, experienced other places, they might start having a little bit different opinions on things and maybe different views on stuff. Because, for example, I lived in Canada my whole life. I lived in Ontario my whole life. And when I started playing in bands and going across Canada, only then did I realize how beautiful Canada is as a country, or how the people are, because I got to visit other places and talk to other people. And like when you go to the East Coast, I don't know if you've gone yet to Nova Scotia or
Not yet.
New
No.
Brunswick. Those people are so friendly. Like we were
Yeah.
playing shows there. They would invite you over to their house after the concert and let you sleep in their homes and all kind. They were very, very friendly people. You know what I mean? So, and you won't know that unless you travel around and experience it yourself. You know what I mean?
Yeah. 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 Totally agree. Yeah. The thing is when you don't talk to the people, when you think people might be like you think, that stupid cliche.
Hmm.
Like Einstein would say, it's much more easier to destroy the atoms than the cliche, or I don't remember
Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
exact sentence. Yeah, yeah. When you exchange, when you share with people, and music is a great example.
Yeah.
Is a great icebreaker. I was participating in some sales meeting with some people from Finland, and when I started to talk about Finnish band artists from Finland, the
Hmm.
guy almost cried because he said, "You're French, you know about that." But in the VC, we are a little bit like crazy about music. We
Well, yeah,
know,
we
yeah,
know a lot more than probably the average people do, right? So,
yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to think. Do you know that band Sonata Arctica?
Yeah, yeah,
Are
yeah.
they from Finland? I don't remember if they're from Finland or not.
No, wouldn't say Norway, or probably
Okay,
Norway, Scandinavia. Not sure. Not
I remember
sure.
we played with them. They were really nice guys. We played with them here in Toronto at the Opera House when they were coming
Yeah,
through. Really nice
yeah,
people.
yeah. I had a friend back in my high school days in
Mhm.
99, 20, and he was crazy about that band. So this is why. So hey, Darren, feel free to join.
Hey, Darren,
Another,
what's going on?
yeah, another guy from Ontario,
Yes, yeah, from Hamilton, not too far from where I am, for maybe like an
Hamilton.
hour drive
Yeah,
or so.
yeah, no,
Yeah.
yeah, another place. That's the very first place in Canada I have ever been to.
Oh, really? Eh?
Yeah, yeah. When I okay, back in the days I was living in France. My father's uncle moved from France to Canada in the late 50s.
Hmm.
So he went to Quebec, and in the 70s they settled in Niagara, so Paul
Hmm.
Colborne, Welland, and Niagara Peninsula. So this is the very first place back in 10 years ago. I did visit them, so I stayed in Niagara, Hamilton, Toronto,
Nice.
and yeah, it's beautiful there. It's
Oh
beautiful.
yeah.
Yeah,
Well, Niagara and Welland as a big is like a big wine area for
yeah,
Ontario, right?
yeah.
So lots of people go, like lots of tourists go there, especially in the summertime, obviously, to go and see that and do the tours for the wine, right?
Ice wine, yeah, ice
Yeah.
wine. Craft beer is amazing as well. Yeah, yeah.
Hmm. Yeah.
I mean,
So
yeah.
it's interesting.
So yeah, and I will continue showing the
Yes.
stuff.
Show some of these records. I was interested to see some of these ones you had.
Yeah, so this is, as I said, a guy from a French VC guy. He's starting to sell his collection. So I yeah, taking advantage.
Hmm. Of
And
course.
for instance, this is a band I really like. This band, this is a Machiavel. This is a Belgium band.
Hmm.
Okay, they are not very famous in North America. They went from Prague, symphonic Prague, to a more F, yeah, classic rock by the
Hmm.
early 80s. So this is their final album before the hiatus, and yeah, it's. I had the chance to meet this guy because
Okay.
he was he found a radio station, a classic radio station in Belgium called Classic 21. So I could meet him personally, very friendly, very knowledgeable, and they had an amazing singer, Mario Guccio,
Hmm.
nicknamed the Belgian Freddie Mercury.
Oh,
And
nice.
yeah, yeah, and but those are late out, yeah, 81, 82. So this is probably if you like Prague, I would say Jester. That's the album they dropped in 76,
Hmm.
and Mechanical Moonbeams in 77. Those
Now,
are
do they
more.
sing in English or do they sing in French or what do they sing?
They sing in English, and they
Okay.
it's funny you say that because they had a professor, because they had a Belgian accent, and they had a coach, and and this was a UK guy. So
Hmm.
they sing. I can hear they have a French accent, but they try to sound more
Okay.
British. But
So
they
the
sing,
professor guy helped them lose
yeah,
the accent a bit, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah. Do not sing like this.
Yeah.
Voilà. And yeah, this is an album.
Oh, yes. That's a
Yeah,
great
a
record.
classic album. Saxon. Remember when I was 14, I was crazy. Judas Priest, Iron
Oh, yeah.
Maiden, all that stuff. It's a classic. It's a
That's a
classic one.
must have.
It's a must-have. Yeah, I did have on CD, not on vinyl. Other classic, Procol
Hmm.
Harum. He had a
Yep.
bunch of Procol Harum, and yeah, as a prog guy, these bands like Moody Blues, they were a massive source of inspiration for all these prog bands. I also often mention bands like Family,
Hmm.
Fairport Convention, the Strobes, even though the Strobe they were prog in a way. But I didn't have this Procol Harum, and he had all of them. He had all of them,
Oh,
and
nice.
yeah, it was getting rid, maybe not the right term, of that selling collection. So I just simply taking advantage. This one as well is
Wow, look at that. And they're in good condition too.
it is, yeah, French press and a salty dog. It sounds really like Peter Gabriel.
Mm,
Yeah, in my opinion, yeah. And those are underrated because many people know What a Shade of Pale,
yeah.
and they didn't consider what they've done later in the 70s. So yeah, this is a blind purchase. I don't know much about that band.
Hmm. The
I think
flock.
it's,
Yeah.
yeah, the Flock. Yeah, I truly don't remember. The thing is, he was making a video 6 months ago on YouTube. He was showing all the records, saying the price.
Hmm.
And as in France, I say, hey, please keep those records. You have to ship to my sister address when I will be back in France. So this is what he
Yeah.
did. He did so, and don't remember. I think it's heavy. I think it's a progressive folk band from the U. I'm not sure about what I'm saying,
Okay.
but yeah.
It looks interesting.
And Novalis, the band, the Brain label, once again, Grobschnitt, Jane, the records I showed earlier, Novalis, they
Hmm.
sing in German, and it's really spacey, really proggy.
Yeah.
Are you familiar with Novalis?
No, no, I'm not actually. I was thinking because there's a YouTube channel on here called Prog Line, and this gentleman puts on these obscure like prog records on there, and he has the whole puts the whole record on there of like a very unknown progressive rock bands, and I'm trying to remember if I heard something from them, but I don't think I have.
Yeah, but they sing in German, at least on those two records. So probably a reason.
Hmm.
Hey, Darren, come up.
Yeah, Darren, coming up.
Darren, coming up. Montreal, special on Montreal. Yeah, Montreal, the old harbor is a cool place. Saxon, yeah, yeah, it's a classic.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hawkwind, yeah, Hawkwind, yeah, Hawkwind, another important band. I wouldn't classify them as a prog rock, maybe space rock. They were massive source of inspiration for bands like Killing Joke and later The Orb or System 7.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I only have one album. That's the one everyone has. Underground Generator, yeah, yeah.
What about Camel? You
Camel,
have Camel,
Camel, yeah, 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 yeah.
Mirage, and stuff like that.
Mirage,
Like,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
It's good stuff, you know. I mean,
It is, yeah.
a lot of this stuff. There's so much music back in that time that came out. You know, it would take you forever to come and go through it all. I mean, you know, it's unbelievable.
It is, yeah, yeah. And how about the modern, or I would say the 2010 or the rock band? Are you listening to bands like Riverside, for instance, or
Yeah, Riverside, Big Train, and stuff
Mhm.
like that. There was also that record that I just got into more recently was the one that Scott was talking about, that band that was the offshoot of that Norwegian band. What was that name of that band? But they did that Tales of Father Robin, I think they were called. That band, they released 3 records, and they were writing it for apparently like 20 years. It took them to write this album, and they finally put it out like the last year. Scott put it as his number one album of the year, like that
Yeah,
whole Tales of Father Robin. It's very interesting because it's very progressive, but it also has lots of like folk elements in there too, lots of acoustic guitar and flute and other kinds of instruments in there as well. And it's very lyrically progressive, like talking about, you know, the different gods and, you know, creatures of the forests and stuff like that. So it's very very throwback to the 70s, you know.
yeah. Yeah, I remember have watching this. For those who doesn't know, we are talking about Scott, our friend Scott, the Pro
Yes.
Corner. Um, Great channel. He has this weekly live stream every Sunday,
Hmm. Yeah.
and yeah, you and I, we were once or twice on
Oh
the
yeah.
panel. Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's really cool. He has now he's been running a show with different topic, always great topics. I think tomorrow's topic is a favorite Pink Floyd song, something. And now he has his
Oh yeah.
his fellow member, the usual, and Alex from the channel Beer and Vinyl.
Hmm.
Really like Alex. He's the one who's. Did you hop on the prog tag 2024? The one
I
Alex came
did.
up.
I did do a I did a tag when it came up, but I don't think I was on the stream when he did that though. Hey
Yeah.
hey Darren, how you doing?
Hey
Hi,
Darren,
Mike. How you doing? Hi, good to see you.
Good.
good to
This
see
is
you.
my cup of tea. This is my talk. This is great. I'm so happy.
Yeah, three people from Canada talking about progressive music.
Yeah.
Oh,
How
God,
good is that?
you can't beat it. You can't beat it.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I think Darren's pretty much into the same sort of stuff, Genesis and Peter Gabriel and all those other bands we were talking about as well, right?
Yeah, but I've been also getting into just other things that I kind of didn't really know about. So, Mark, this is probably where you might appreciate it. Is I've been really getting into Opeth.
Okay, yeah.
Hmm.
And I don't know why, but I think it's just because of that sort of Steve Wilson sort of link.
Hmm.
Because I've heard from people who are like really obsessed Opeth fans. They've said like some of the stuff that I guess maybe Steve Wilson produced. They kind of feel that that was sort of taking away from the metal side of that band. And
Yeah.
but me, I guess being the progressive guy, I'm thinking, well, yeah, but I hate to say it, but I like that stuff better.
Well, see, for me, I got into Opeth when my band was being interviewed by this guy who had a magazine in Toronto called Rip and Tear back in the day, and he sat us down and he goes, "Mark, I want you to take a listen to this." And he put on Blackwater Park. He had a copy before it came out from Opeth, and I loved
Yeah,
it. And it was one of the first records that was involved with Stephen Wilson. He helped them with the vocals. He helped them with a lot of the keyboard like
yeah,
ideas that they had, and so that was his entry point into it, right? So and
yeah.
that's where they started having but I love that record. I absolutely love it. Sure, at that point though, there was still a lot of the growly singing and the clean singing, so they were kind of appeasing both sides of the coin at that point. But as Opeth went on, they became now a much more like total progressive rock band now, like albums like, was that Harvest or Heritage or something like that? There's an album that came out later that's nothing but clean singing, Hammond organs and stuff like that. So they've kind of
Yeah.
steered away from that.
Yeah. You know what? I think what it is that, like for me, like as a keyboard player, it doesn't even have to be keyboard based, like for me
Hmm.
to appreciate progressive music. It doesn't really,
Yeah.
like we could talk about Rush, and
Hmm.
then I would say, even that to I guess maybe the early stages, like from maybe I guess maybe 70, well, from 76 to probably Spirit Radio or Permanent Waves, like when they started just bringing in the over, well, I mean,
Yeah.
like the mood synthesizers were already there, but I mean, really, it really became a dominant force, I would say, like maybe like from Signals on.
Yeah.
But before that, it was just like there were just like subtleties of the keyboard, but you could hear it. Like to me, it was progressive music because it was just that typical thing, different timing, different moods. That's
Yeah.
that's what defines it, progressive music to me anyway.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I agree. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, I don't want to. I'm terrible with names. So, French Vinyl Addict. What's your actual name?
I was gonna
I'm
say
Uh,
terrible with names. So,
yeah,
me
it's a French
too,
name.
me
No,
too.
no
I felt
one
bad.
outside of French. It's a Romuald in French. It's
okay.
it's
Romuald.
it's written under my Romuald.
Oh, okay.
R.
There we go. Sorry, I'm an idiot.
Yeah,
I should
no,
have just
no
looked there.
worries, no worries. FVA is fine. No
Okay,
worries
so
about that.
so so okay, so then FBA, what's your take on Rush? I mean, I know you like Rush. What's your favorite era of Rush for you?
2112 up until up until Permanent Waves. Yeah, I really like
Yeah,
Moving Picture as well. It's another um leg of their journey, I would
hmm,
say. But no, at 2112, it's still Still my favorite album to this date. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's the one I hear when I first land in Toronto.
Yeah.
That dun 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 dun. It's
Right.
been in my brain forever. Yeah, yeah.
Nice, nice. Yeah, because it's funny. Power Windows, for example, was a much later record, and that's when they were really densely in with the keyboards. But the funny thing is, when I first heard that record, I wasn't too sure if I liked it. But then, as the years have gone on now, Power Windows is one of my more favorite Rush records. I find that it's very dense, some interesting
Yeah.
keyboard sounds in there. If you listen to it on headphones, especially, you can hear the stuff going back and forth on the headphones, right? And a lot of stuff that was really well captured from that point of it. And Alex is still there on guitar. You can still hear him
Yeah.
clear as day. So it's not like, oh, all the keyboards drowned out Alex. It wasn't like that, right? But the keyboards were fantastic. Like, what did you think of the keyboards, Darren, in that album?
Well, I think, well, as I remember it, and actually that's the second time that I'd seen Rush on that tour was the Power Windows tour. I think it was okay. How do I say this? This is me being analytical. I think for Rush, like I like the progressive part of it. So I like how they started off like in the late 70s. And I
Mhm.
like how they sort of went from signals to Grace Under Pressure, Power Windows, Hold Your Fire, all that, the keyboard part of it. But I also like the aftermath too, where they said, okay, we need to sort of not be rid of the keywords, just make them less sort of prominent. So I
Mhm.
think that was a really, really great, bold move actually on their part. Great, and actually, like because that is progressing.
Of
That's how I
course.
look at it. So
Yeah.
yeah, but for Power Windows, oh God, I mean, Marathon. I mean, I used to call the song Mr. Gibbons, like the gym teacher. It's uh, and the other one, the
Big Money.
Manhattan
Yeah,
Manhattan
Manhattan
Project
Project. Yeah.
Yeah.
and Big Money. Yeah, I mean, it's just well, the whole thing is just so great. It really is. It's epic. But I mean, many people would criticize that as a. This is why I asked you before, Mark. As a guitar player, it must be like I know you're. I made this. Well, I didn't make a criticism of you. Just more. It's more that kind of thing because guitar players and keyboard players have that sort of, that kind of internal rivalry. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
it is respected, but at the same time too, it is there. You can't
Yeah.
deny it.
Yeah.
So that's why I asked you, like it's nice that you said about Power Windows, but see that to me, I mean, it's a great album, but that's not one of my favorites.
No, well, I mean, it's not a lot of Rush fans' favorites.
Yeah,
I think that what I didn't like about it initially was I was so used to Alex Lifeson's sort of, heavier, distorted sound, like on Moving Picture, like you listen to like Limelight and stuff like that. That the
mm,
guitar is
oh,
so crunchy and in your face. And then he made that change to Gallion Kruger amplifiers, and it was much more crystalline and clean sounding. And it was kind of like, wow, what's going on here? Like it was really like he almost made a more fusiony guitar sound and less
yeah,
rock sounding. And I was like, I didn't know if I liked it at first, that change. Right.
yeah.
So Darren, they're asking if you could just maybe go a bit closer to your mic or turn up your microphone. You're a little hard to hear.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, yeah,
Yeah,
here. Hopefully, yeah. I'm sorry. There's something
that's
wrong with
okay.
my
Just
laptop.
yeah,
Yeah, here. Is
Yeah.
that a little bit better?
yeah, it's
Yeah.
better.
I'm trying to. Yeah. I can also let's say adjust from my end.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
better though when you're sitting
It's
closer
it's
like
it's
that.
better. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've
Yeah.
heard of that. Funny,
But
I have this like nice home studio, and the worst thing I have is like a MacBook, like a MacBook Pro. It's like the worst microphone in the world. You think I know about sound, but I don't.
Yeah. Well, some people know different things about them. You know a lot about keyboards, but maybe not about computers, right? So
Well, I know some things about computers, and I know some things about YouTube, but really, I'm not really educated like when it comes to all this stuff. So I mean,
did you
that's
did you?
well, it's funny you say that, Mark, because I was saying like I just bought some toys from Long and McQuaid, and it's all hardware. Like I really wanted, like I started off on hardware, of course, like
mhm.
everybody did, and then I kind of went to software, and I was just getting so sick and tired of changing parameters like on
Yeah,
like with a trackpad or a mouse. It's like, no, I need the knob, man. I need like just things like that, or even the distortion thing, like where I have if I could turn up like a parameter that way, and it's like, oh god, the
It's fun.
computer, I
It's funny. It's
don't
funny you
want it.
said that, Darren, because as you can see here, I have a Gaia here, right, and I have a
Mm.
Roland EX7, old keyboard here, right.
Oh god, that is old. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
but I just made a new purchase of a keyboard just the other
Okay.
week. I had to go pick it up. I bought you know that keyboard, the Sledge. They came out first. It was like a yellow keyboard and it had these black keys. What's his name from Dream Theater?
Oh,
Jordan
did you?
Rudess. He
Jordan
was
Reed,
using
yeah,
these. Yeah, it's really interesting because it also has like this really cool Hammond organ processing sound within it as well.
nice.
So I'm very anxious to bring it home and check it out. So I'm really into the hardware end of stuff as well, much more
Yeah,
than
me too.
software.
It's just so because it becomes so somebody will say, like, even if you do like an organ thing, and then you start looking at the drawbars, and then you
Yeah,
have to actually like go into the menu and like bring a drop out or this tone up here. It's like, no, I'd rather use my fingers and just pull the slider down this way,
yeah.
just listen to it that way. It's just so much easier.
Can I
Yeah.
ask? I have zero knowledge. Can I ask a stupid question? Is that the right time to buy a DX7, for instance? Because now everyone wants to go back to the 80s sound or stuff. Is it too late, or is it freaking expensive to find one in good condition?
Well,
Well,
Darren could probably answer that better, but I'll just say quickly that, for example, the keyboard that I have here, the EX7, which is the one after the DX7,
Hmm.
I got that completely by fluke. I walked into a Long and McQuaid store one day, and it was just sitting there with a half a pound of dust on it, and somebody saying $700, you can take it home. I was like, holy shit, okay, I'll grab it and took it home, right?
damn right.
And it has been one of my main keyboards on all my records that I've done. And the
Yeah.
Gaia was a bit more newer, but honestly, FVA, if you want to get a DX7, I'll tell you this: good luck finding one. I mean, they're hard to find now because they're
Yeah.
so old, and they're if you can find one working, even. I mean, ask Darren. I'm sure some of these things are very touchy too. Sometimes after a while, right?
Well, the only thing I know is that there was this one guy. I don't know. It was a video that I saw years ago. The guy had 10 sealed Yamaha
Wow.
DX7.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think the video is still out there. I'm almost positive. But then when you start listening to the sounds, I mean, it's not. I mean, at that time, like in the '80s, like it really was because it was FM synthesis. So it was remarkable for that time. But really now, like you really, well, I shouldn't say that because I'm kind of going backwards, like with my analog synths, like my sequential circuits and Prophet and all that. And it's like,
Mm.
but I mean, if you want it like for nostalgia, like it's a good thing to get. But like Mark said, I mean, you have to find one in good condition, and because 9 times out of 10 they're scratched up. But if that doesn't bother you and it works, yeah, then go
Yeah.
for it. I mean, but there's so much more you could get with those same kind of sounds on
Yeah.
different, like especially like it's a digital keyboard. So I mean, you can get those kinds of sounds anyway. So it
Hmm.
depends on what you're looking for and what you're using it for. So I don't know. That's just me.
Yeah,
What do you want
yeah.
it for?
Sorry, once again.
Like, what do you want it for? Like, what do you like?
Are
what do
you planning to record or something with it, or what?
No, I was just asking the question. I'm not a musician. I was
Oh,
just
okay.
asking the
Oh,
question randomly, as you guys are expert or collecting materials. Yeah. No,
Yeah.
no, 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 no. I'm just asking because I remember, was it at that in 2009 or 11 when Depeche Mode, um, they proudly claim, "Hey, we are back to the old material we used to
Oh,
have for
okay.
music for the masses."
yeah.
And this is when all everyone went, okay, I need my DX7, you know.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
this is
Well,
yeah.
Well, it's funny because there's a guy on, and I'm sure Darren must have seen it. There's a guy called I think he's called the Keyboard Doctor or something, like Dr. Keys or something like that. He has this channel, and this guy just goes through every kind of keyboard that's out there, and every week he shows a new one. But then he also goes back and shows some very vintage keyboards, and he compares them by top 10 keyboards. He'll show like an old Oberheim or an old Prophet, or he'll go through and find an old actual Mellotron with the tapes and all that still. And he goes through all these different keyboards and shows them, and then when new ones come out, like when the Gaia 2 came out, he got that like 2 weeks before it became available in the stores, and he was showing us all these little examples of it. It's a big channel, like million subscribers this guy has, right? And it's fantastic. Like he even shows like rack unit keyboards, like that you can get, like the JP 8000 or something like that you could get in rack form, right? So yeah, there's all kinds of these, and it's fascinating if you like keyboards. And he talks about what are the best keyboards to use now, to buy now for, like, say 70s sounds or 80s sounds. So it's very fascinating if you're into those kind of sounds, right?
Yeah, but I mean, if you're just sort of like a casual, budding musician who just wants to sort of sit in your home, like home studio, like, this is where I say, software synths are the way to go. I mean, because you can really, you can almost, like, all the sounds are out there. They're all out there. Yeah. So there really is no need. But for, because I'm really into it, and I'm a player,
yeah.
I appreciate it more. So, and I'm lucky. I'm lucky I can afford it. So, but I mean, if you're just sort of, butting around or noodling around, you think that, well, yeah, Yamaha DX7 is like, this is like the talk of the town. Then yeah, it's not really worth buying one. You're better off just buying a software synth and just triggering those sounds. But like I said, there's just like a plethora of sounds out there. Like, you really don't need the hardware stuff anymore. Like, you really don't.
What is your favorite one? Do you prefer the 70s sounds, the early Mini Moog, or the 80s? What is your take?
Darren, what's your favorite?
Darren,
yeah, you can go first.
Yeah, and after Mark, yeah.
Well, I'm more, I guess because of my 20 Bangs Genesis sort of link, or my love. Mm-hmm. I think like the one that I've got the Prophet 6 and I've got the Prophet 10. I think the sequential Prophet 10 is the one. I mean, I could go into like the ARP synths and the Mellotrons and the organs, but like I said, you can get those sounds so readily available. But the Prophets, I don't know. There's just something about the character of it, and when you program it, when you hook up, Mark will appreciate this. Like, when you hook up with I just got a distortion, mm-hmm. MXR chorus, and and I got a Strymon timeline. Just if you because like there's no effects on it, so it's just totally naked. It's totally raw. But when you start adding like external effects, whatever, it just brings out this massive character, grandeur sound. So that's where I get really horny. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's it.
Well, it excites you, those kinds of sounds. I mean, I understand totally what he's talking about, because if you hook up the right like digital delay unit or the right reverb to a certain keyboard, it just opens it up to a whole new world of sounds all of a sudden. Like, I remember hearing that Don Airy, who plays for Deep Purple now, they were showing his keyboard rig on his channel once, and he said that anybody who owns a Moog should own also a flanger and a delay unit. And they showed what happens when you add those things to it. It just opens it up to like a whole different thing. It's almost like going from an old school Pink Floyd to like a modernized Pink Floyd or Dream Theater or something like that. It's very interesting what effects can do to a sound of a keyboard. Like, for me, this EX7 that I had, the reason why I was so sold on it was because when I turned it on this setting that said Oberheim lead on it, and I was like, oh, okay, what's this? And then I luckily, one of the things I knew already how to play on keyboard was jump, so I tried it, and it was almost exactly like that sound. I was like, my jaw almost hit the floor, like, wow, this sounds almost exactly like it. So I was sold immediately on this because I loved that sort of 80s era Van Halen stuff like that too. So
Yeah, great stuff. Yeah.
And how about the one they use for selling England by the pound, the ARP Pro Soloist?
The
Oh
pro
yeah, yeah.
solo. Well,
Is it?
see, this
Yeah.
is the other thing too. See, I've actually contemplated about spending because I'm sure Mark will appreciate this. Like I go on Reverb quite
Mhm.
often,
Oh yeah.
and I was thinking to myself, God, should I get an Art Pro Soloist or not? And I mean, actually, I'd rather have the Art Quadra, but the problem is that's like you're going into like the $20,000, $25,000 range, and it's like really you have to justify the cost. I mean,
Yeah.
even if I'm a fan, it's like you really have to really weigh it out. But with the Art Pro Soloist, it's funny you say that. Your name right? Ramo?
FVA. Romeo.
You can just say FVA just for short.
I know, but I'd like to get the name right. Anyway, a friend that I was actually who lives in Manchester. He actually has an Art Pro Soloist, and I was chatting with him yesterday, and he was saying that he had sent his to a keyboard tech, and it's basically just needed a cleanup. Probably capacitors needed to be replaced and all that kind of nonsense and stuff like that. But he really can't wait because he felt that it was just so, when the problem is that they're so old that they just keep dying. Like it's
Yeah.
Look, I just bought this sequential circuits Prophet 10, and I know in time it's gonna go, or it's gonna need because it's analog.
Yeah.
Circuitry is so much different than digital. So so when you go for like an Art Pro Soloist, like the musical box, like that tribute Genesis tribute band, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
They have, I think, from what I heard, I think they have three. So two for backup, one for
Yeah.
like the stage or whatever. But they got two in the back room or whatever. And then they've got techs like working on it because they just tend to run out. So it's like, yeah, you can get the sound, but it's like, okay, well then, is it really worth it? That's what again. That's what I was telling you about the
Eh,
Yamaha CX-7. It's
and
like
and
you
that's
have
the thing. That's the thing too, Darren. And I think you'll agree with this. I remember reading a story about Rick Wakeman talking about when he was on tour with Yes, and he had two mini Moogs, Model Ds.
yeah,
Okay, and he said
yeah,
that sometimes, according to how the electricity was, he would turn
yeah,
it on, hit an E, and it was out of tune, and you had to start manually tuning it on stage to
yeah.
get it in tune because it was the power sometimes dictated how it sounded. It was out
That's
of
right.
tune or too flat or too sharp. And
Yeah,
that's the thing with analog is that you're sometimes at the mercy of these little things, whereas digital you're not so much at that sort of disadvantage. But
yeah.
you have to look at it this way: do you want the analog sound, that warmth and that sound, or do you want to have the reliance of the digital end of things? That's sometimes what you have to think about, right?
Exactly. Especially if you're performing, and depending on the type of band you're in or whatever, or what your budget is, it's all relevant. It really is.
Mm.
Like, there was one guy who I know who's in a Genesis tribute band, and he was talking about how he got there's a ARP 2600 clone by Behringer.
Okay, yeah.
And one of the things that he had to do was, I'm not going to get overly technical, but he had to turn his LFO and have the third oscillator match it to what was it called, the nuance slider or whatever.
Okay.
And the only way he could do that was, and I didn't even know this, but there's actually rubber caps, and when
Hmm.
you pull them off, you can actually calibrate. Whereas the old ones, you couldn't do that. You actually had to open up the whole panel and
Oh,
actually calibrate it that way. You'd have to have an actual tech. Whereas
yeah.
now you can just get like a small, whatever, like a little screwdriver like that, and just like open
Yeah,
up the pad and just calibrate it the way and tune it the way you want because
Yeah.
they tend to drift. They just do. That's what
Yeah.
analog does. It just drifts all the time and out of tune.
Yeah.
So anyway, I'm getting all kind of techy about it.
So I'm guessing VFA that you're a big Genesis guy too. And have you seen any of these Genesis tribute bands? I guess before. Or?
not yet, not yet.
I saw Musical Box when they had two keyboard players and two guitarists
Hmm.
back in the day, like in the early '90s. And I actually visited. That's what I was saying. I'm gonna try again. Remo.
Oh yeah,
um,
Romuald, no worries.
I know.
Remuel, yeah.
But yeah, I actually my ex-wife and I and two friends we went up to Montreal just for vacation, and I met one of the keyboard players, the early keyboard players from Music Box, and he was so sweet, and he actually started doing. He was telling me that one of the fun things that used to do because they had all the early instruments like Mellotron and the
Mhm.
that Steve Hackett thing that they played on I Know What I Like. So what they used to do is just for joke, just to sort of lighten the mood, they used to play like I Can't Dance on those instruments.
Nice, nice.
Yeah, just to sort of break the monotony. But yeah, so I've seen Musical Box back in the day with Dave Myers, who's also phenomenal, and with Martin Levac, who's an incredible drummer. He's just the guy. The guy is virtually Phil Collins. I don't know how. It's amazing how he makes a living off that, but that's fine.
Mm.
Um, and also too, I saw the Lamb when they did the Lamb. I saw that twice. And but since then, I mean, that was years ago. Like there really, I mean, if you've seen it like once or twice, there really is no need to keep going. I mean, I'm a fan, but
Mhm.
after a while, you kind of think, okay, well, I've seen that before. Let's see something else now. So there you go. But
How
I love
many
it. Great.
how many cover bands of Genesis did you get to see? There is this Italian band. Don't remember the name. It's just it's not as big as the musical box. Did you have a chance to see them?
Sorry, what's the name?
He doesn't
Don't,
remember the name of them, but they're an
no.
Italian one.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, it's an Italian cover band.
That's the thing. The thing is, there's so many. Like, especially in the UK, there's just so many of them.
Yeah.
And this is and I'm not trying to deviate from your question, but Mark, I really do want to ask you. When people start saying, oh, there's no good music anymore. When they keep saying all that stuff.
Mm.
My answer is all the time. It's I said no one follows like really great music all the time because all the best musicians are in tribute bands.
Well, a lot of them are because the funny thing is that musicians want to play music. Okay, that's the
Yeah,
main thing, and you want to be on stage and that's what you want to do, right? And if
yeah,
you're an original band, it's difficult to make money enough to be that your whole job. So a
yeah,
lot of people turn to playing in these kind of cover or tribute acts. Like I have a good friend named Kevin Bath who lives here, and he's in one of those. He's in that classic rock band that travels around all America and
yeah,
Canada. He's the guy who's when you hear Elton John is going to be they're doing an Elton John record. He's the one who's usually singing it, or if there's somebody who or if they're doing something else more acoustic based or something like that. He a lot of the times he's fronting it. He's a great singer. He's a great drummer, right?
mm,
And a lot of the times he said that he makes so much money doing this stuff, the classic rock band thing,
yeah,
that he said it doesn't make sense for him to do an original band at this point because he has to play this stuff just to continue being a full-time musician. Because if he
yeah,
was to stop and do an original band, maybe because of his traveling and people knowing him now more, he might be able to get going, but it would never get as much traction right away as the classic band's tribute stuff that he does,
yeah.
right?
And how do you? God, I feel like I'm doing the interview. I don't want to take over. I
No,
don't want.
no,
No, I was
go
going to
ahead.
ask you, but in that sense, then how do you feel as an artist, songwriter, well, engineer, mixer, just like George? How does
Hmm?
that make you feel? Like, have you ever thought to yourself, God, I really, really want to take this on the road, but at the same time, too, it proves itself like kind of useless because you're gonna end up paying more for promotion and you're not gonna get anything back in return.
Well, a lot of people have been asking me about Project Gemini, about whether I'm going to start playing and going on tour with Project Gemini. The
Yeah,
thing is, that while I've definitely developed a fan base now. I mean, I'm on record number 8 with this, so by now there's a steady amount of people that buy my stuff. But the thing is, I know for a fact that if I went out on tour, that number would probably double, because once you start getting in front of people, you attract more fans, right?
Yeah.
But it's a vicious circle, because in order to go out and tour, you need to make sure you have enough money to do it. You have to make sure you have people to do it, and nobody's going to go on and tour with you for free. You have to pay these people as well, right?
That's
So
right.
it's a very vicious circle. Like I said, you have to make sure that you have a lot of cash involved, or more importantly, if you want to go the original route, you need to have a backer, like a steady manager or somebody who's willing to kick in the funds to support you while you're building that base that'll keep you on the road, and that will self-finance it. Because back in the day, you know how it was, you make a record, and the records would sell, and the records would help you go out on tour. Now it's the complete opposite way. People go out on tour, and the album is just like hey, we have a new record, come and see us. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Wow, that's too bad, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah,
yeah.
which is very bad. It's the price of the tickets. It's,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I know that I've heard people saying that, like my nephew, he's a big fan of Metallica, and he's going to Chicago in a couple of weeks for a hockey tournament, because he's a hockey player guy, and they wanted to go and see Metallica in Chicago because they're doing 2 nights on a weekend in Chicago there. And my sister said, you know how much these tickets cost? They're like, for some spots it was like $500 a seat. It was unbelievable how much this cost. And I remember, and I showed my nephew, and he freaked out. I have still tickets somewhere from like old Rush concerts, or old, whatever, like a David Lee Roth concert, or whatever concerts I saw back in the day. And it was like $19.95 plus tax for a show.
Yeah. I remember paying, well, I gave my mom, for my first Genesis, like my first concert ever, I paid $20. And that was to see Genesis at the CNE. And then I remember seeing it on my ticket stub on Maple Leaf Gardens for Rush Signal Store. And the base cost was $16.50.
Yeah, you see what I mean? Like,
yeah,
it's ridiculous how much it costs now. Because even FVA there was saying that he was going to go to Peter Gabriel, and it cost hundreds of dollars to go and see Peter Gabriel.
Yeah.
And my other friend, I saw Pink Floyd on the Division Bell tour at CNE. Now my buddy and I at work, we decided we were going to go and leave the girls behind because they were not interested. But that was $94. And I think I forget when that tour was. I think it was
95.
95 or so.
95. Yeah.
So really, I mean, and when you think about what you paid for it at that time, I mean, I know there's rising costs and stuff like that, but somehow these shows are justified. So, like, to me, even when I paid, even though it felt kind of expensive at the time, and we didn't have like the best seats, but we were kind of like up in the bleachers at CNE, but we still got that sort of quad sound that they were presenting, and it was great. It was really, really awesome. But like for $94, really at the end, when you think about it, it really wasn't so bad at that time. So it seemed justified. Now, like I was supposed to see Genesis, but like on the Last Domino tour, but I couldn't because, sorry, I didn't get vaccinated. But I was given 3 tickets, and I couldn't go. So I asked my best friend. I said, do you and your wife want to go? And they're like, well, no, we can't. I go, well, why? And they go, well, we're so worried about COVID. They started, and then he said, but you know what? I think my son will go. And I started laughing. I go, so you'll let your son go, but you can't go? It doesn't make sense. But regardless, but then what happened was when I met Tony Banks in Toronto. His security guy or whatever said we're not giving physical tickets. We're giving the like your snapshot, like your thing, the scan thing, right? Then I looked at the cost of the ticket. It's like, oh my god! And it really wasn't like, I mean, it was impressive for where it was, but really, it was like it ended up being like $700 for the ticket.
Yeah.
Or like 2 tickets, and these guys get to go. Wait, not that these guys get to go. I gave them to them, but I was like, my God, like imagine just paying for that, and you're kind of in sort of like a mid-range area of like
Yeah.
watching this concert. I was like, man, that is like psycho money.
Yeah. It's a lot.
But I don't know. But then you got to remember too, like with that Genesis show, I can't even begin to imagine what production costs must have been like, and between promotion and all that, it's like, you can't even fathom it. So, but I don't know. Yeah, it's nuts now. I can't say, like, I don't even know how much like a Taylor Swift ticket would go for right now.
Mm.
Don't
But
know
still,
either.
it still seems a little overinflated in my opinion. I mean, sure, there are costs like that. There are, things to consider, and a lot of them will say, well, the fuel cost since that time has went up a whole dollar in Canada. Before we had like gas was under $1, now it's almost $2 in Canada now for gas. So that, and if you have like 6 tractor trailers that you have to lug around, they're going to have a lot of gas. So I can see where they're saying where some of the increase in cost comes from, but really
Yeah.
that much? I mean, that's a lot. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
I think when you incorporate it all, it's fine. But then, yeah, it's like you said, Mark. It's like sometimes you kind of have to think, like, well, I mean, hopefully we're not going to get into this side of it, like the inflation issue or whatever. But it's like, really, like, why is my cost of bread going up because of inflation? Like, what? Because of gas? Gas has always been like inflated for a long, long time. So, okay, what about what other costs are coming in? Like that's
Yeah, but
that.
gas is much more expensive in Europe, and I can tell you,
Hmm.
price of the
Yeah.
concert are more expensive here in North America. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
doesn't
So see what I
really.
mean? It almost seems suspicious that way,
Yeah.
because if gas is
Yes,
more expensive there, then why now all of a sudden are they using that as an excuse here? Just
that's
quickly,
right.
DJ Johnny L, thank you for ordering the record and test pressing. The test pressings are in already. I'm just waiting on the physical vinyl to be done, and as soon as I get it, it'll be shipped out. And people like, I believe that's Johnny L that goes on Rachel's stream. Johnny is in Canada too. And just like Darren, so you guys will be getting your records fairly quickly because you guys get it because you're close to me here. So the
Johnny,
U.S. people
hey,
will be getting it a little bit after. But yeah, so
yeah, that's great. How do you, Mark? Can I ask? Sorry, I shouldn't. I don't want to dominate the conversation.
Come closer to the mic.
I know,
Mr.
no. I just no.
Darren.
I
no,
just
he just
want. I
doesn't want to.
think
He
it's
said he doesn't want to
okay.
take over your stream. He doesn't want to
No, I
keep
don't want to take over
Yeah,
your
no
stream. That's
problem.
the thing. I
No
don't want to. I don't
problem.
want to be rude. So it's just because I have Mark here and I don't get to talk to him.
No problem. There is it's a spontaneous. There is no topic. I'm
Okay, so
glad you.
Mark, so how are you able to, like, I was looking at the cost of your album. So and I'm not, I swear to God, on my mom's grave, I'm not criticizing it.
Mhm.
I'm praising you. I'm praising you for it. How is it you can actually incorporate the recording costs, all that stuff, the poster, all that stuff, even the colored vinyl? I know there's a ton of costs that go into that kind of stuff. How can you actually, like, how are you actually winning in the like? I know you're not trying to make a profit. You really just want to get your music out there. That's the whole thing.
Yeah,
But I just think to myself, I was thinking, like, my God, $50, and then I end up spending like on just on reissues, and some of the reissues are just like they're nothing. They don't give you anything. They just give you like a little sleeve and
yeah.
and just a record. And that's the end of it. So I mean, I praise you. I was like, my God. So that's why I wanted to give you like just and I'm not trying to kick your ass or anything, but I want to give you a little bit more because I know what costs go into that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and I thank you for that, because I did notice that you did put in a little extra than normal. So, and I really do appreciate when people do that,
No,
because
no, I wasn't trying to say it like for you to thank me. I was just saying I don't
no,
understand.
I understand, but I will answer your question. See, because here I do my recordings at home, and it's taken me a while. Obviously, with time, as you know, it takes time to accumulate equipment, right? Like a mixer console, the sound interface. I just recently upgraded mine to an SSL sound interface, and that took a little while to get up. So I have the
No way.
SSL, Yeah, so it's really good. It sounds great, right? And these things all take time to get. Now I have a studio that I'm confident enough in to record. So my recording studio costs are zero because I do everything at home, right? Whereas other people go out to recording studios and spend $1,000 a weekend to record if you're lucky nowadays, right? To spend that much time at a studio to record. So that I have covered. I have a guy that's in Florida who does my album artwork, the front cover. He gives me a flat rate to do it for it because he just loves doing paintings, and he's never done album covers before. I was his first person to ever ask him to do an album cover, and ever since he's done mine, he now does album covers for Cleopatra Records and all these other places now too. So he kind of, because of that, he gives me a really good deal on doing my album covers, like really good, and I have little ways like that I can find ways to not have it cut too much into me. Of course, I have to pay for some things. The posters are not free, obviously, but they're not overly expensive because if you buy enough of them, like over 100, let's say, then they're cheaper per unit, right? Per single one, right? And then you have other things too, like the Train Records place. I lucked out because I found them, and they do everything in Canadian dollars, right? Which is a big advantage, because if I was to do my record pressings overseas, it would be in euro, and then right away it'd be way more expensive for me to do it, right? Or even if I went to the United States, it would be way more because the US dollar is much more than the Canadian. So I did these little things to help keep my costs at where it is, going to Train Records here in Canada, doing everything myself here, and it's worked out. So to the point of where I can charge $35 Canadian. And when people hear that in the United States and in England and in Europe, they're like, 35 Canadian, that's nothing for me in British pounds, or that's nothing for me in US dollars. So I get people that buy my records all the time. I have a vast amount of people in the United States who buy my records. Same in Europe. I have people in Switzerland, Germany, people buying my records, because to them, it's not that big a deal, because once the conversion comes into play, it's a different story.
What pressing plant did you go with?
Train Records, like choo-choo train, like Train Records.
Yeah. Now, how was that in comparison, if you considered them? Because somebody asked me one time because I had some rare records, and they said, "Oh, we could make this as a bootleg." What about Precision Records in Burlington?
I think those guys are really good too. I'm not sure if Train has some connections with them as well, because I think sometimes they kind of help each other out. You know what I mean? Like when one is running behind, the other one takes over, and you know what I mean? I think there's some connection with it. But Precision, I've only heard good things about Precision in Burlington. I've only heard good things about that pressing plant. But I go through Train. Like whatever they do, I've never had a return in 8 albums. I've never had a returned vinyl ever. So that's got to tell you something about the quality of it.
Exactly.
So,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Nice going.
Yeah, and as I can say, the price $35. As I said, I found some record in France from a local artist. I paid 20, 25, 28 euros, and it's completely fair, really. Yeah.
Exactly.
You also have to earn some money. You say the cover our cost, but you paid for the equipment. Okay, so you don't pay for a weekend at the studio, but you paid for at least you rent. I don't know how it works, but
well, I mean, I this is my home here, right? So So the home here that I'm at now is, I don't have to pay any rent or nothing like that here, right?
Mm-hmm.
So again, this has all happened over a time period. You know what I mean? So and maybe like let's say 10 years ago, it would have been a different story for sure.
Yeah.
But because at this time in my life, the where I'm sitting now and how situations have developed, I can do it this way. And this is why I'm taking full advantage of it and just recording as many records as I can. Because number one, I like making music. I like releasing it. People seem to enjoy my music, so I continue to do it. And I've always believed that what you put on record is important, because it kind of leaves a legacy and a stamp of yourself when you're gone from this world. 100 years from now, people can hold up a Project Gemini record and hear my voice and hear my music. So I think it's important to leave a stamp of yourself behind, right?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. So people miss more the voice. I think when you miss your father or grandfather, it's all about usually the voice. I miss the voice of my uncle, of my grand. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're totally right. So I think I'm gonna maybe make more five more minutes and then be wrapping up.
Yeah, I gotta get going too soon. So
Yeah, if you don't mind, we are 2 hours.
yeah,
Once
I
again,
have to get
nothing.
ready too. So
Yeah. I have another stream tomorrow, tomorrow morning with Stanley. So, but yeah, as I said, it's really cool. Darren, did you start a channel? Did you finally start your YouTube
You
channel?
know, it's been suggested that I should do this many times
Yeah.
because I'm not making really. Apparently, I'm not doing very well on certain streams, and I've been, for some reason I don't understand why, but Stunty has suggested it. George suggested it. This is like when I first started out, like coming on these things.
Mm-hmm.
Someone suggested, you should do it, right? But I always think to myself, you know what? Everybody's doing it so much better than I ever could. Like I really, because I'm more interested in what everybody else is listening to because I have the record collection of, I have, my favorites. Like I have, all the Elton John. I all have like the Pat Metheny. I have the Rush. I have the Queen. I have the Genesis and stuff like that. So like there's just a few things here and there that maybe people have forgotten about or maybe people would be interested in, but honest to God, I don't really think I'm going to add much more.
but
It's just my personal opinion. So I'd rather go on streams like this and talk about music and just give my sort of, my little opinion about it. That's all.
But Darren, one thing that you could add, though, if you think about it, you're very knowledgeable in the world of keyboards and
Yeah.
that whole world of it. If you were to make a channel and where you talked about, and it doesn't have to be every day, make like a video once a week where you talk about a certain keyboard, like the Prophet or something, and talk about
Yeah.
different pedals and do it. You would be surprised how many musicians would be interested in seeing that and hearing that. You may actually develop a decent following through the musician circle. Never mind the VC. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I know, but I guess my thing is like I never really sought out to like I did that Tony Banks interview, and really it was not to get subscribers or likes or anything. That was really well, it was selfish. It was for me just to be proud of it, but really it was for the songwriter, the Genesis fan, the Tony Banks fan, the keyboard fan. That's really what it was for. And even when I look at that, okay, maybe I gained like it was funny. I was looking. I was like, I thought it was like 20 subscribers, and then all of a sudden I'm like 40 something. I'm like, really? Because of that? Like, wow. But I'm thinking to myself, well, to tell you the truth, I thought it'd be a little bit more because just for Genesis fans alone. But again, I'm not looking for it. Like, I'm not going to be sitting here going, oh, subscribe to my channel, hit the like, and I don't want any of that.
Yeah.
So it's just, it's.
Well, do what you're comfortable with. That's the main thing, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but you're right. I mean, like maybe do like some keyboard stuff. I mean, I'm like I said, I'm rebuilding my studio, and actually, Mark, I'm sure I have your email and Rumble sorry, send me your email too, and I'll send you like I'm starting to really rebuild my studio right now, my personal studio. So yeah, hopefully, people will get impressed by that. But
Yeah,
that's
okay.
it. I'm not really looking to I'm not. Yeah, I'm not looking to like all that much attention. Just
And it's not
love.
about.
I just love
Yeah,
talking about music and the
yeah.
business
That's the
and
important.
all that.
It's not
I
about the
love.
quantity. It's not about the quantity. Of course, now I'm celebrating 600, which is great, cool, and
Mm.
I'm very thankful for that. But I prefer having 600 subscribers with people I can exchange with, people commenting
Yeah,
on the video, than having 2,000 and no one never watched.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, yeah. And I
and I
never
think
said, yeah,
and the other thing I want to say too is that the other streams that I have been on, it's very very like I really do thank you for having me on. I mean, that's I guess in the VC world, it's kind of brave to actually have me on. But honest to God, I really prefer watching as a viewer, looking in when there's only about two, three, maybe four people on there. When it gets beyond that, it just becomes interruptive and nobody's saying anything.
Yeah.
So
Mm.
it's things like this that when it's intimate like this, it's nicer. It's nice. It's a
Yeah,
nice listening
Yeah.
pleasure.
it's easier to chat.
Yeah,
Okay. Yeah. And if you don't want to do a VC channel, you want to talk about the things you like, do it. You'll
Yeah.
have people they will enjoy.
yeah, maybe one day.
Maybe one day. Okay, guys, we have almost reached the 2 hours mark of a stream that wasn't planned at all. But
All right.
thank you, guys. Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Daring. Thank you, the
Thank
Peanut
you.
Gallery, for tuning in. Hope you guys have a great weekend and stay tuned for next chapter. Bye
All
bye.
right. Take care.
Okay.
Take care. Bye
Okay.
bye.